they escorted him away to his homeland, he never once looked back at the savior who adored him. Now, the heavy silence has returned, and I am left entirely alone in the dark, with only the cold hum of my technology and the mindless devotion of my ants to keep me.
That's so much better. Harper is the one. She's the best actor here, hands down. Welcome to Venture Step Podcast. We discuss entrepreneurship, industry trends, and the occasional book review. I'm your host, Dalton Anderson. In this episode, we're going to be discussing AI. In the last episode, we talked about the rift of the relationship between OpenAI and Microsoft. And in this episode, I'm going to be doing some short demos of some of the models that are available in beta and preview. They are on Microsoft's AI site. It's microsoft.ai. And in there, you can try some of the models. Not all of them are accessible. Like the coding model doesn't seem to be there, and the thinking model is not there. So that might just be for enterprise customers only at the moment. But you do have the availability to try out the image model, the transcribe model, and the voice model. I personally enjoyed the voice model the most. I thought it was very interesting and really cool, similar to some of those other models that specialize in voice. And I thought that there was a good vocal range. All right. This episode is going to be fairly quick. It's really just going to be discussing some of the comparisons between Nano Banana Pro, which is the image model by Google, which is the moniker of the model, which is really taken over as the name. And then that against the image model that Microsoft has, the 2.5 image, not the image flash. I used the 3.5 flash thinking mode. It's not really the model, it's the thinking mode. And then I took the 2.5 AI image model. I did not use the flash one. So I wanted to be close-ish in comparison. And then for the voice model, I just played around with it, but I did like that one. And then one I think is really finicky is the interactive story or conversations. I didn't necessarily enjoy, but we'll get into it. So I'm going to share my screen. And so what I'll do here is I will flip all of these over here. I'm putting it on a separate screen. Let's see how this goes. All right, futuristic diner. All right, cool. And then we want the playground over here. All right, perfect. So me sharing my screen, this is what the UI looks like on Microsoft's account. We'll share the whole window. Share audio as well. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And this was the first example, and you can see I got rate limited. But the first example was actually this retro diner. And the real essence of the ask was to create this futuristic diner that had a statement of being the best shake in the world or the galaxy. And in this instance, it's the Cosmo Burger joint, and they have the best shakes. And so in this image, it does a good job. But one of the things that I would think about if I was generating this is I was a marketer. We've got the best shakes. The shakes are the prize and are the statement and the key driver of our brand. And so there should be more emphasis on the shake versus the burger. This seems like this is the burger taking the vocal point, whereas the shake in this instance, if it's the best shakes in the galaxy, then you would think that the shakes would take a bigger role. This is my opinion. If I'm a marketer, and that's how you got to think about these things. Like, how realistic is it? Like, could this do something that you request from a marketing firm? And in this instance, it doesn't do it one shot. Okay, so this is the image of Gemini. So you can definitely get how it's futuristic. I think that there's some inconsistencies like people are outside. Some of them are wearing I don't know, headgear to cover their head for oxygen, but then they have no suit on. And that's what it looks like, at least. But it does appear that there is something going on with their heads. And it looks like they're wearing a, you know, protective oval thing. I'm always blanking out when I'm live on a podcast. I'll just miss something that just like people. It's like, oh yeah, there's just this, and yeah, and then it comes back to me later, right after I'm done recording. Anyways, so I think there's inconsistencies, but it does a better job at emphasizing the shake versus the burger. So the burger and the shakes go together. So the real sell point here is the shake, and you can see how the light gleaming from the top of the image slowly brings down, and it brings down, and it's got more of a focal point on the shake, and the shake glows, and there's a little bit of glowing that gets pointed towards the burger, but the main focal point of this image is the shake. Everything is built to draw your eyes onto the shake. So I think he does a good job there. It is a little busy, in my opinion, but it did a good job on selling the shake, I think. Okay, so this next one is the image, which was a really weird prompt. And I didn't make these prompts myself. I just asked AI to help me make some prompts to test out the two models. And so these are random prompts across the board. But this one is a weird one where you would think that this is a hallucination, where there's a cat paw like coming out of the table. And it may or may not have been the interpretation of the prompt to do that, but that's how the prompt explains it. And so it's not a hallucination. It's just that's how the prompt asked it to be. So just rest a cat palm on the table. And I think what you would think about that is if you're resting a cat palm, then there needs to be a cat. Like you can't have a human hand without a hand. And so in this instance, it just made a cat palm and then no cat. And the same thing with Gemini. So I just think that that's a bad prompt, but it does make an interesting image. And it definitely takes the literal meaning of a cat palm. But there is some cool stuff here. This looks lived in. It looks legit. It has the lighting. I think that the cat palm is a key piece of an image randomly to where you think, oh, this is AI. But I think that there's too much detail on this weird device here. I like a whole bunch of gears and stuff. And other than that, it looks AI generated, I would say, to me, especially with the cat. Without the cat palm there, the table looks much better. The ambiance of the place looks better. The lighting looks good. It looks like a cloudy day. The gears thing is still weird. Like there's a lot of gears. I know that's part of the prompt, but the way that the gears are, like you could tell that things, if there's just like too much detail, it's probably AI. And they did a really good job at the aging of the table and of the book. So if I go back to their book has like non-legible text. It looks like cursive, but it doesn't look like there's any words. Whereas this book, I can't zoom in for some reason. I think they changed the settings. I have to download the image, then zoom in. But you can see how like these are actual butterflies, and it gives the name of them, which is great because it asks to do that in the prompt. It says, make sketches of various butterflies: the monarch, the swallowtail, the blue morpho, the painted lady. And you go in here and you see the painted lady, an image of the painted lady, and it labels that butterfly painted lady. in the blue morpho, you see there's a butterfly of the blue morpho, and then there's the blue morpho. So it did a really good job on the book. Did a really good job at aging the table. I don't like all the gears here, but you can easily edit that out. But it does a better job at making the place look lived in, which is probably 70% of a generated image. Is does the place and the surroundings look legitimate? That's a tail sign. Okay, so then the next one is the dusty old carpenter. So this was a close up of a carpenter working at their shop. This is Google's first attempt. Google took this image, and I would say once again, the ambiance of the image looks legit. Like, this looks like a carpenter's spot. Like if you've been to a carpenter, warehouse or this like workshop type of deal, it 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 looks like that. Like there's some organization to it, but it's organizational chaos. Like it's organized, but there's still a lot of stuff. But the stuff is in certain spots, and then there's the working area, and it's rather dusty but not dirty. I think there's a key differentiator there. Like it's dusty but not dirty. And there's dust on the shirt. You can see in the image with the light reflecting through, you can see that there's dust particles in the air from the wood. And it looks nice. I mean, I think the face looks better than Microsoft's attempt. But overall, I think the shirt looks realistic. The hands look realistic. Just there's just something with the face, like the way that like what is the person looking at? Like they're looking at the wall. It doesn't look like they're looking through the window. The way that the light is hitting and how big the window looks, and the light is coming from this side, and then the eyes are lighting up in the middle. It just doesn't look legit when you really look at the face and the eyes. And fast forward over to Microsoft. This looks horrible. It's way too dusty. The background looks horrible. The craft is character. Sign in the back just looks like just doesn't look legit. The way the light is coming down looks odd. Very, very dusty. The hands are like overly dusty, and the face has like wrinkles, a lot more wrinkles than you would think for that person. So yeah, it's a bad image. But I think it's a good first attempt, right? Okay, so then if we go over to, this was my favorite part, by the way. So this voice to text. And so just give you an example. So there's a whisper.
Step lightly. A great egret stands like a ghost of the marsh, still as the water around her.
Notice the muted greens and smoky browns that frame the egret into the misty marsh, capturing tonalism's.
Field note, 7:03 a.m. Rainwater is still dripping from the cedar branches. The trail smells like.
All right, so then let's do this. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's just do Flash, and we'll just say, let's just create a prompt. We're going to create a prompt for the voice model, a short story, 3 sentences, and let's make something weird. Let's do a man trembling, hungry, their life force is fading due to lack of food, and then what do they stumble into? Let's just talk about how they're fading away. I don't know what they stumble into. Like the story needs to have an ending, a middle, and an ending. So the opening is there's a hungry man. This hungry man is dying due to losing their grip on reality. The fork in the story is that hungry man stumbles down the stairs and is taken care of by the ant queen, the queen of ants. And that person is rescued by some kind of National Geographic camera people. There you go. I want to create a short story, a couple sentences. I want there to be opening, a middle, and a closing. But I don't want it to be very long. And use proper punctuation. I want to create a story of a man who's hungry, trembling in fear. Their life force is fading. Their grip on reality is loosening. And in that instance, they have a big fall and they're rescued by the so-called ant queen. She has many ant farms and she controls the ants through some kind of technology device. And he's unallowed to leave because the ant queen doesn't want to allow him to leave. But he is saved by the National Geographic camera crew and brought back to his homeland. I don't know. All right, let's do it. Let's see what happens. So let's come back and let's do, I personally like, where is English? I like Ethan and Harper. I think Harper's the best. Her whisper is really good. So let's do her whispering. All right, let's try it out. Super cool. Let's do it. And hopefully I don't get rate limited.
His knees buckled from sheer hunger, a violent trembling taking hold as his fading life force loosened his final grip on reality. Tumbling blindly into the dark abyss of a deep ravine, his world went black, only for him to wake in a bizarre subterranean sanctuary, nursed back to health by a woman known as the Ant Queen. Surrounded by massive glowing ant farms, she used a sleek humming wrist device to command her legions and coldly informed him that he was never allowed to leave. Just as despair began to settle in, a National Geographic camera crew stumbled upon the hidden cavern while filming a documentary, boldly intervening to rescue him from his captors. Whisked away from the subterranean kingdom, he finally wept with relief as the crew escorted him across the border and safely back.
All right, that's pretty good. I like that. So let's do one angry. So let's change it from Harper and let's try out Ethan and let's make Ethan angry. Angry Ethan.
His knees buckled from sheer hunger, a violent trembling taking hold as his fading life force loosened his final grip on reality. Tumbling blindly into the dark abyss of a deep ravine, his world went black, only for him to wake in a bizarre, subterranean sanctuary, nursed back to health by a woman known as the Ant Queen. Surrounded by massive glowing ant farms, she used a sleek humming wrist device to command her legions and coldly informed him that he was never allowed to leave. Just as despair began to settle in, a National Geographic camera crew stumbled upon the hidden cavern while filming a documentary, boldly intervening to rescue him from his captors. Whisked away from the subterranean kingdom, he finally wept with relief as the crew escorted him across the border and safely back.
I didn't get the angry vibe there. Maybe try, I want to do sad, but I want to do sad. I want to do sad when I tell a story from the Ant Queen's perspective, and I'll do sad with the other character. But I was wondering if we could try another one. Maybe fearful, regretful, relieved. Let's do determined, maybe. Let's hear the difference between determined and angry.
His knees buckled from sheer hunger, a violent trembling taking hold as his fading life force loosened his final grip on reality. Tumbling blindly into the dark abyss of a deep ravine, his world went black, only for him to wake in a bizarre subterranean sanctuary, nursed back to health by a woman known as the Ant Queen. Surrounded by massive, glowing ant farms, she used a sleek, humming wrist device to command her legions and coldly informed him that he was never allowed to leave. Just as despair began to settle in, a National Geographic camera crew stumbled upon the hidden cavern while filming a documentary, boldly intervening to rescue him from his captors. Whisked away from the subterranean kingdom, he finally wept with relief as the crew escorted him across the border and safely back.
Okay. One hypothesis is Ethan's no good. So let me try the sad perspective of the Ant Queen, and then I'll circle back to use Harper to try sad or angry. Let's try angry, and then we'll do sad with, let's do this. Okay, this is great. Let's try to switch the perspective and tell the POV of the Ant Queen. And we want to create a sad story from the Ant Queen's perspective. The Ant Queen found a lover, rescued him, and then nurtured that person back to life, and they left her. The Ant Queen is all alone again. Something like that. But keep it short, similar to what you just did. That was perfect. Oh, the story continues. The Ant Queen. Will she reach an anger that creates divine wrath across the organization of humanity? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so let's do that. So let's do this. Let's do Olivia, and let's do sad.
When he plummeted into my ravine, trembling and starved of life, my heart broke for his fading soul. I used my control device to guide my loyal ants, gently carrying his broken body into my sanctuary, where I painstakingly nursed him back to health. In the quiet glow of my colony, I fell deeply in love, genuinely believing I had finally found a partner to share my hidden kingdom forever. But my devotion wasn't enough to bind him, and the moment a wandering camera crew breached our borders, he chose their bright world over mine. As they escorted him away to his homeland, he never once looked back at the savior who adored him. Now, the heavy silence has returned, and I am left entirely alone in the dark, with only the cold hum of my technology and the mindless devotion of my ants to keep me.
I could feel a bit of sadness in certain spots of the story, but I didn't feel it in my bones. Let's see what Harper has.
When he plummeted into my ravine, trembling and starved of life, my heart broke for his fading soul. I used my control device to guide my loyal ants, gently carrying his broken body into my sanctuary, where I painstakingly nursed him back to health. In the quiet glow of my colony, I fell deeply in love, genuinely believing I had finally found a partner to share my hidden kingdom forever. But my devotion wasn't enough to bind him, and the moment a wandering camera crew breached our borders, he chose their bright world over mine. As they escorted him away to his homeland, he never once looked back at the savior who adored him. Now, the heavy silence has returned, and I am left entirely alone in the dark, with only the cold hum of my technology and the mindless devotion of my ants to keep me.
That's so much better. Harper is the one. She's the best actor here. Hands down, no competition. Ethan can't even get near her. And Olivia is envious of what Harper is capable of consistently. Harper's the best. Hands down. The Whisper story was really good. Her sadness, you could hear a lot better than Olivia. Like you could feel the emptiness in what she was saying. and this AI bot, basically. But it's cool to try these things out. And the next thing that we want to try, and the last thing that we'll be trying, I already tried conversation. It's okay. I don't think it's very useful, and it would take too much time. So then I'll try interactive story. The problem with interactive story is you can't really interact with it. The character limits of the story, maybe 45 characters, 50 characters. And so you can't necessarily tell a deep story. You can say the man walked or something. And then when you're saying the man walked to the ravine and saw that there was this tantalizing animal that didn't know whether he was prey or food from his perspective, right? You can't say all that. You'd get the man walked. And then it's like, whoa, this isn't the story I wanted. You'll see what I'm saying.
Hey, I'm Leo.
And I'm Luna.
You give us a character and a world, and we'll make up a story. Like an astronaut on her first spacewalk.
Or a pirate and a mermaid who can't stand each other.
So, who is your character, and what kind of world will they live in?
They live in a world of endless hunger.
A lone boy kneels beside a cracked, rusted metal bucket, eyes wide.
The bucket groans, spilling a glittering salt-sweet liquid onto his bare feet.
Around him, the city hums with flickering neon signs advertising impossible meals.
He smiles, tasting the liquid, and the world pauses, hungry and hopeful. Love it. Now things get complicated. What do they want, and what complication or obstacle stands in their way?
That great substance was machines that are going to take over his body.
The liquid swirls, forming tiny gears and humming softly in his veins.
His eyes widen as a metallic arm unfurls from his back, gleaming.
A laugh escapes him, half amused, half terrified, as the machine pulses.
The city lights flicker, echoing the rhythm of his new, robotic heartbeat. I wonder how this ends. What's the twist that changes everything at the end?
Endless pursuit of big corporations trying to utilize his technology that he accidentally stole.
The city's sirens wail, drones swarm, chasing his metallic arm.
He darts through alleyways, the gears clicking like a frantic drum.
A shadowed corporate CEO appears, offering a contract and a shiny, smiling smile.
He shrugs, turns, and laughs, letting the chase continue into the neon night.
Wow. What a story. That's Neon Gears of Hunger by Luna and Leo. Thanks for listening to this story. If you want to listen to the story next week, of course, wherever you are in this world, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Thanks for listening in and listen in next week.